Authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
The U.S. didn't confirm its first coronavirus case until January 21st.
Scientists are urging the government to instigate a national lockdown next month to stop the spread of coronavirus.
So we can protect the NHS's ability to cope and save more lives. And that's why we've been asking people to stay at home during this pandemic.
America will again and soon be open for business, very soon, a lot sooner than 3 or 4 months that somebody was suggesting. A lot sooner. We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem.
President of the United States and the First Lady have both tested positive for the coronavirus.
President Trump is expected to walk out of the White House and board Marine One for the short flight to Walter Reed Medical Center.
It's a stunning development in a year that has been full of them, a year dominated by a pandemic.
Malaysia has warned of a fresh wave of COVID-19 infections if people don't follow the tough new restrictions that came into force at midnight. The partial lockdown will be enforced for at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
There's just no real way to dance around it. The last couple of years were weird, and there's no sign of that weirdness stopping anytime soon. No year was weirder than 2020. We were met with an uncomfortable amount of once-in-a-lifetime moments. From the election down to the possibility of World War III. Do you remember those first 3 months? 2020 will be remembered as a year where everyone had to take a stand and stick to their beliefs. In this way, we were all tested. Even with all that happening, it felt small compared to the life-changing impact of COVID-19. It affected everything, from the toilet paper supply down to professional sports. COVID gave us no shortage of problems to solve, decisions to make. Young people were forced to make decisions that could permanently affect their future going forward. It's as if the election wasn't enough. Our world came to a grinding halt, and millions around us suffered. Small businesses were especially affected by the lockdown.
Large corporations have succeeded in the lockdown while small businesses have suffered. According to a SCORE survey, only 37% of small businesses have turned over a profit in 2020. Meanwhile, corporations like Amazon have increased their stock price by $1,000 from the beginning of the lockdowns in March to the end of June. In New Jersey, small businesses that were seen as non-essential were closed from the beginning of the lockdowns to mid-May. These businesses lost 2 months' worth of profit due to COVID restrictions. So what are our leaders doing to try and help the owners of small businesses? The New Jersey Small Businesses Developmental Centers have been helping small business owners work on their federal applications for the CARES Act, loans, and the COVID-19 relief bill. The recent COVID-19 stimulus bill, signed into law by Joe Biden on March 11th, was a $1.9 trillion rescue plan that added $7 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program. This program incentivized small business to keep employees on the payroll, making it easier for them not to fire anyone during the pandemic. This includes nonprofits. It included a $28 billion grant program to provide direct aid to restaurants. Unfortunately, all this help came a little too late. According to the NRA, and no, that's not the National Rifle Association, but the National Restaurant Association, suggests 1 in 6 restaurants are permanently closed or closed for long term, and nearly 3 million employees are still out of work. And the industry in total was on track to lose $240 billion by the end of 2020. Small business owners were hurt by COVID-19. There's no real sugarcoating it, and although we're making progress in helping people more and more as time goes on, it's still important to recognize how hard it was last year for people. I feel as if small businesses weren't spoken enough about in the peak of the pandemic, but I think it's important to try to get this message out now, or to speak about it more now, so that we can learn from our mistakes. Although it is easy to take a glass half empty approach to the lockdowns, some people came away from that experience with a positive outlook. Business Wire suggests that sales of home improvement items increased by 22.6%. A study released by studyfinds.org suggests that 3 out of 5 adults wanted to improve themselves during the lockdown. Whether it be from working out at home, learning a new instrument, or fixing up your house, self-improvement became a larger focus during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Despite the closing of gyms, the outdoor curfews, only 27% of Americans said they were working out less than usual during the lockdowns. This must mean that people were generally making the effort to improve themselves despite the circumstances. The age demographic with the most improvement to exercise habits were 18 to 29-year-olds. They experienced a 26% increase to previous exercise habits. According to a survey by Home Advisor, average spending on household services in the U.S. rose by $4,000 from 2019 to 2020. This can be attributed to the fact that people were just stuck at home and needed something to do. However, the survey begins to suggest that home improvement came as a result of the lifestyle change in 2020. In the previous year, a survey suggested people only improve their home when necessary as a result of damage, defect, or decay. So maybe people only picked up a new hobby because they needed something to do, or to adjust to their new circumstances at home. However the case may be, if you found the time to improve yourself last year, there's only one thing left to say. Good job. On May 13, 2020, Governor Murphy signed an executive order lifting the ban on the ability to have gatherings in cars. Of course, the New Jersey car community took advantage of this. And in light of all that went on in 2020, the community found a way to stay strong and have fun. Not only in New Jersey, but in the entire country. Even though it wasn't particularly safe. Unfortunately, COVID provided a lot of empty streets for reckless drivers to kind of go crazy. Last year in East Hartford, New York, there was a car meet with over 1,000 people in attendance. Due to the potential health concern, police were trying to disperse the crowd, but unfortunately it didn't work. During the lockdown, the Cannonball Coast to Coast drive record was set. The previous record was 27 hours and 25 minutes. These guys did it in 26 hours and 38 minutes. For good or for bad, this community serves as an example that no matter what happens, you can't really tell people what to do. It's kind of in our spirit to want to be free. There's something to be said about human resilience. When met with problems bigger than ourselves, we manage to look both inward and outward, to get the measure of yourself, and to find comfort and normalcy with others. In the face of peril, we find a way not only to survive, but to live. The lockdown and pandemic were no different. So if you ever feel scared or worried about world events, just remember, you've made it before, you can make it again.